Hello, everyone. Welcome to that third coaching sessions with the usual regulars. We're starting to have a group that is meeting every week. Everyone can still join, but right now it's really good to have some consistency across these sessions. And today we're gonna focus on the Infinity League, which is opening 6 hours from now, 7 hours from now, something like that. And we're going to talk about the decks, we're going to talk a little bit about the metagame that we expect to be there, and then we're going to talk about how to approach it and how to try to get that 5-0 run in. So, before we get started, are there any questions regarding what we did the last 2 weeks? Because I'm going to assume that's something you know about and just use those concepts today. So, are we good on how to break down a deck? Are we good on the raw power level against relative power level decks? Tech cards, flex cards, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and incredibly useful. Thanks.
Great. Right. So, the first thing we want to do, we're going to treat it a little bit like a tournament, except we're not going to treat it like a small tournament. We're going to treat it like a worldwide tournament with zero idea of what people are actually going to bring, because there's probably going to be hundreds, thousands, or millions of people playing it. So trying to make a precise guess is almost impossible. So the first thing when we're going into such a big environment is trying not to be too precise and instead go with decks that first we're really comfortable about, because we need to be able to play them against a wide variety of opponents, and two, which are actually able to play against a wide variety of opponents themselves. And then we can still use the tech cards to adapt for the popular opponents. So, I forgot to share my screen as usual, because why would I not forget about something today? Screen number 1. All right, the first thing I do when I go into a tournament, and hello, White Toast, I'm guessing? I think it's the first time you're joining us. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the current metagame. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I stopped at tier 2 because my assumption is from tier 3 and on, these are either decks that we're not going to see too much, or in the case of Destroy, which is the only one we can expect to see a lot, the answer is always going to be, well, play armor, duh. So I felt like it wasn't really important to go below tier 2, but if you guys are interested in a particular deck below tier 2, let me know. I took the ladder tier list because the conquest tier list is much more precise, and we'll get to it afterwards. But because there are infinity tickets in the shop, if we're going to play the Infinity League on day 1, there's a big chance that it's a bit of a mess, at least it was last month, because everyone's just going to purchase their ticket and try to play in it, which makes it much more difficult to predict compared to like the end of the week, where there are only like the tryharders left, or the people that actually enjoy conquest, and not people who are just like, oh, I need to use my tickets before it's too late. So first thing I did is trying to look at which decks were raw power decks and which decks were relative power decks, so it tells me a little bit what direction the meta goes in. The second thing I would usually do, which I didn't do on this picture, is put the percentages of each deck based on their popularity. So then instead of just counting the decks, which is what we're going to do this time, we can actually group them based on popularity. And so right now, I guess it's pretty obvious there are more relative power decks than there are raw power decks. Yet, imagine, I don't know, Shuri Sauron was 30% of the metagame. It would actually be a raw power metagame. But the thing is, this time, there are more relative decks, and they're also the more popular, so it's going to work that way. So, going through the list really quickly. So, in the silent performers, they're very, very scarce. So, bounce, we're not gonna consider it much. I don't know, has anyone played against Bounce in the last week? Because personally, I haven't, and I play Conquest every day.
Not a single one. Been weird.
Yeah, so we're just gonna not include it in our strategy. If it comes up, we'll just play against it, but we're not gonna plan against beating Bounce. Thanos Zoo can actually be paired up a little bit with Thanos Control. They're very similar, except this one has more points while the other one has more disruption, but it's still a relative power deck because it's not trying to win on points. If he doesn't land a good armor, a good Cosmo, Professor X, or that kind of things, the deck usually doesn't win. Good Core Stature could be considered a raw power deck if there wasn't Shang-Chi, Killmonger, Polaris, Enchantress, and all these kind of cards in the deck. But right now it feels like, although Zabu, Dorkok, and the associated cards are really strong and represent the points part of the deck, the difference between that deck playing Enchantress, Shang-Chi, and not playing it is too big not to say the tech cards are playing a huge role. Sarah Surfer is the same logic, although we have Surfer, which is able to make a lot of points. Usually the deck wins because it's able to land a Juggernaut, because it's able to land a Cosmo, able to land a Shadow King. So considering it's the tech or the flexible cards which are doing the heavy lifting, it's a relative power deck. Thanos Control is the ultimate relative power deck, and it's because it's so adaptable that it's managing to stay on top. Sarah Control is the exact same thing. Literally, the deck is reduce the cost of tech cards, and tech card literally every one we come across, which is the definition of a relative power deck in the end. So first thing we can look at is whole of tier 1 are relative power decks, which means we're probably in a relative power metagame, meaning the tech cards are really important, and a lot of decks are gonna try to annoy you more. They're gonna try to beat you on points. It's still important to know who we can beat on points and who we can't, but we should be expecting a few tech cards along the way. There are a few raw power decks, which we're gonna go into in tier 2, which is Shuri Sauron, and even if it's a raw power deck, which is the first deck on this list, which is trying to win on points, there's still armor, and there's still like cards which are adapted to the current metagame. For example, Vision, which is an answer to Shang-Chi, and Enchantress, which is also in the deck. It's working with the deck because it cancels Lizards, cancels Typhoid Mary, cancels Red Skull, but considering Enchantress is a really good card currently, it's still a way for Shuri Sauron to actually steal cubes from a few ongoing decks. Devil Dorkok is also a raw power deck, but once again, if we look at the decks using Shang-Chi and those not using Shang-Chi, the deck basically loses a whole tier. So even if it's a raw power deck, the tech cards are really helping. High Evo is a relative power deck because if you don't reduce the power of your opponent, usually Hulk is going to win one lane, but you're going to struggle to win another one, and the deck literally explodes against Luke Cage. Lockjaw is probably the closest deck to a raw power deck currently in the game, at least from all those we have seen so far, because there's 0 tech cards. The closest thing to a tech card there is in the deck is Magneto, I think. Otherwise, it's one of those decks that actually does not play an Enchantress, a Shang-Chi, or that kind of thing. Like, unless you consider Iceman or Spider-Ham to be a tech card, but they just work in the deck. They're not included for a specific matchup or to counter specific targets. Lockdown is a relative power deck the same way Thanos Control is. It's trying to prevent the opponent from playing before it's trying to beat them on points. Iron Patriot could be raw or relative, but currently the list is heavily tilted toward relative because it's playing Shang-Chi, it's playing Killmonger, it can play Super Scroll, and without those tech cards, the deck loses on points to Shuri, loses on points to Hela Tribunal or that kind of decks. So it's actually the tech cards which are helping it be so good, which makes it a relative power deck. And then we have the real raw power decks alongside Lockjaw, which are Hela Tribunal and Negative Surfer, which are 2 decks that, unfortunately, because we live in a relative power environment, are being countered. There's Enchantress in a ton of decks. There's Polaris for Invisible Woman and Surfer. sometimes in Shuri Sauron, sometimes in good cards. So these decks are probably the two best if we just look at who develops the most points. Unfortunately, that's not how we win games a lot of the time. It's rather how much points can we develop while canceling as many as possible for the opponent. I went a little bit fast on this, but are there any questions on this, like quick explanation of the metagame? I'm gonna take this as a no.
I mean, it's a good breakdown. I think that's one of the things that's frustrated me so much in tier 1 is all the relatives that are all, just like you said, working to gain and screw you up at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good analysis.
All right, so now that we know what we're dealing with, we are going to go into which decks we could say I recommend, but it's actually what the data told me. Now, there is one thing to say about these kind of things is based on the data that exists before the Infinity League opens. So we never know once it opens what's actually going to happen for two reasons. Number one, it's possible that people take the Infinity League much more seriously than they're going to take silver or gold. When I usually look at those, I try to take Proving Grounds out, if possible. And second thing, we don't know if we're going to play against someone actually trying to win or someone just playing because they got a ticket and they want to have fun with it. So these two things make it that no matter what, it's almost impossible to precisely call a metagame in that kind of format. I mean, it's already hard enough to call it in tournaments where there's a few hundred people. Trying to do it on a worldwide server is complete arrogance to say that someone has the perfect idea for it. You never know. You might face a deck you've never seen from someone that is ranked 40 on the ladder just because they bought the ticket and they want to use it. So, still, because we're in that very wide environment, we're going to try to look at very wide decks. So, obviously, we're going to talk about the best deck in the game for the past 2 weeks, almost, 13 days, something like that. And the reason why it's so good is it has 9 cards which haven't moved. So we have a good core, we know where the deck wants to go. And the cards are Psylocke, Jeff, Iron Lad, and the bottom row. Claw is a little debatable, but it's been in most lists, so I'm going to leave it in the core for now. And then we have Luke Cage, Armor, and Shang-Chi, which, as it says here, are battling with Cosmo, Valkyrie, and Super Skrull. And that's where the whole strength of the deck lies, is we have 9 cards which are allowing us to have a very reliable game plan. They give us a direction. They let us know where we want to go every single game. And then if there are matchups that we think are going to be really popular, or if there are matchups that we keep losing because we're not comfortable, or because we don't really understand what the opponent is doing, or because we just think it's a terrible matchup, we have 3 slots open to counter. Personally, I'm on Team Valkyrie over Shang-Chi, but most people seem to play Shang-Chi, so I left it in the deck. Luke Cage is because there's still a lot of high evolutionary, and it also works pretty well in the mirror because it canceled the orange stone, which I think is... I forgot. Oh, it's called. It's not... I forgot. The orange, the one that gives -1. Armor is to annoy Destroy, which is still a popular deck. And then Shang-Chi or Valkyrie is just because it's pretty good in the deck. Worth noting that Mirage is coming out, and this deck loves to cost cards. So maybe Mirage can actually work pretty well. Also because most of the time, hopefully, we're going to copy a 1 cost. And as we can see, usually turn 6 is a 6. So why not have a boosted 1 cost to go with it, considering we still have to win the lane? Are there any questions on Thanos control? Are there anything that we want to explore a little bit more, or that we want to maybe talk about how to counter it?
the how to counter is good, considering how often I see it too.
Okay, so the how to counter it, and that's the reason it's so difficult to not call it as a huge favorite, is it really depends what the last 3 cards are. Because a solid counter to Thanos control is Killmonger, because you remove the stones, which largely reduces the value of Blue Marvel, which makes Professor X less frightening because they have less points on their lanes, etc., etc. The problem is they can play armor to solve that problem, and you're also forced to Killmonger early in the game, because if they Psylocke on turn 3 or Greenstone on turn 3, they can still Professor X and solve that problem, at least on the lane. Then other decks which have done pretty okay against the decks, against this deck, is Darkhawk. Like, the good cards archetype has proven to be really good against the lockdown strategies, because Darkhawk makes a lot of points, and if your Darkhawk ends up on the Professor X lane, you can always play Rock Slide, Korg, or that kind of cards later on, and that's going to boost your Darkhawk, while we also play Jeff in the Code Cards shell. But same thing. Honestly, if a Thanos control came at me with Rogue and Enchantress in the deck, I'm not even sure Darkhawk would be the solution for it. So I think the way to beat Thanos control is to have a deck that's good against it. So probably the Darkhawk good cards with Killmonger in it. But you could also think about, like, maybe Destroy is okay if you don't face a Thanos control with armor, but it's probably good to play a little passive in the first few rounds. Try to get which tech cards they're playing, and so you know what can be punished and what can't. But until you don't know their tech cards, you're never gonna be safe when they snap you. And that's why the deck is so good, because it keeps you in the dark basically forever. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, I mean, I figured the most of the answer was not a lot of things can be done against it. That's why it's at the top. So,
I mean,
yeah, it's a good description. There's, it's just like everything up here with relatives. It's, if you've got some good counters.
That's the thing. My personal good counter, like the thing I've had the most success with personally, but in the stats it's not happening. It's Lockjaw on reveal, because you get to develop a lot of points before they can Prof-X, before they can Spider-Man. But you have to play the build with Odin, Doctor Doom, Vision, like those cards which are not getting destroyed by Shang-Chi. Or Iron Patriot with Super Skrull. Or play a mirror match with Super Skrull. But I think Super Skrull is really the card that makes the matchup really, really good. But because Super Skrull is not used in good cards, maybe we could try that, actually, because we have Zabu. So maybe toss Super Skrull into a good cards like Darkhawk deck, and you actually have the big counter to it. But otherwise, the 2 big counters are good cards when they don't run any ongoing hate, or decks that can afford to play Super Skrull. And right now, it's Iron Patriot. Like, I think Iron Patriot with Super Skrull plus Killmonger should do really well against it. But then you open yourself to a lot of decks with Enchantress or that kind of thing. So, like, you can't beat everything anyway. Alright, moving on, and of course, we're going to talk about the good cards. So I included 2 builds, just to show that Stature and Black Bolt are not mandatory for a lot of people. And also the fact that you can go for the Polaris or the Killmonger build. Polaris is much better for a proactive approach, and also for Invisible Woman deck, because you just move invisible from the lane and you just reveal everything that's behind, so you can throw their game off a little bit. And Killmonger is really to go hard on the lockdown decks, because you destroy the stones, you destroy Nebula, you destroy Sunspot, and that kind of cards. So once again, why is the deck so good? Exact same reason as Thanos control, to be honest. We have cards which are never gonna move, which is Korg, Zabu, Jeff, all the 4 costs, except for Spider-Man, which is here, but otherwise, the 5, like Darkhawk, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Rockslide, Iron Lad, have been in almost every list of good cards. And then we have, if I'm not mistaken, 4 flexible slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 flexible slots. So basically, good cards is like the opposite but the same as Times Control, except Times Control tries to cancel your game plan. Good cards tries to beat you on points, except like they still have some disruption in it. So like Times Control is going to block you, then try to beat you on point for the last lane. Good cards is going to do the opposite, beat you on points first, then disrupt you on the last lane. Otherwise, it's really the exact same logic. Is we have a strong core that is putting up enough to win a lane, and then we're just using flexible counter cards to win the second lane. Are there any questions about that one?
Everybody else is quiet, so I'm just going to keep jumping in. I hope you don't mind.
No problem. That's why these sessions are in. Feel free.
You just did something that actually I haven't seen it all on the site, and that I find very interesting, and that is the core, right?
Yes.
These archetypes all have a core to them. We all know what they are, but there's not really a deck list type that shows the core, right?
It should be in the guides.
Is it? Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Let me check.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But I mean, at least I think Bohei kept the same structure as the one I did in the past, so it should be in the guides. We're just gonna pick one completely randomly. What's the last guide that got put out? Evolve Lockdown. You have concept and strategy, core cards, first category.
Oh, hey, that's the part that on my phone is the jankiest layout, and that's why I scroll by it. So this explains a lot. I need to look at it on the web.
Sorry,
It's all good.
I never check anything on my phone, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, it was supposed to be in there.
It's all good. Thanks, man.
And otherwise, if you're not sure, oh, go ahead.
No, please.
If you're not sure about the core of a deck, the easiest way to do it is, well, number one, try to figure it out playing the deck a little bit, or you just go onto any deck tracker, check various deck lists, and look at the cards which are in every of them. Okay, go ahead, Silvermint.
Yeah, can I ask a question about the second of your good cards?
Of course.
So Iron Lad and Chavez. So whenever I've tried these, I always end up copying Chavez with Iron Lad, and it doesn't really do much. Is that just small data set, and I need to get past it? I'm starting to feel like I don't want those two cards in the same deck.
I do not understand how you copy America Chavez because it's on the bottom of your deck, so it should not be a copy.
They say that, but I've done the same thing many times also. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
There is a way for it to copy, is if your deck was shuffled. If you did something or your opponent threw rocks in your deck gets shuffled, and so Chavez often ends up on top of the deck. I don't really know why. But otherwise, the point of Chavez is that it increases Zabu, it increases the odds of getting Zabu, and it also increases the reliability of Iron Lad.
I have a suspicion, and that is that if Chavez arrives on the top of your deck and you have to draw a card before the last turn, that it just draws the second card and keeps her at the top. And that's
but the thing is, the card's effect starts at the bottom of your deck.
No, I mean, after exactly what you happened, where you shuffle.
Oh, yeah, but
sometimes she ends at the top and you're supposed to draw. I'm pretty sure she's locked at the top, right?
These decks are not supposed to shuffle. Like, for example, that would happen a lot with Lockjaw or that kind of decks. Or Lockjaw is the best example.
Rock locations, right?
But that's the thing. In a mirror match, your opponent's going to throw rocks in your deck, and that's going to shuffle your deck. Or Thanos shouldn't play with your deck. And there are a few locations which can do it, but theoretically it should improve Iron Lad, not annoy it. But there are ways to mitigate that interaction.
Super helpful, thanks.
All right, moving on to deck 3, or do we have more questions? I'll take that as moving on to deck 3. So, Silver Surfer. This one could have been other decks. Could have been Lockjaw, could have been Patriot, could have been that kind of decks. The idea here is, if you've never been in a high-stakes environment, or at least what you consider high stakes, like, don't let people that have years of experience in card games tell you what is high stakes and what is not. High stakes is what you consider to be important, and what is not is not. Some people actually play worse because pressure, because high stakes, basically. And so having an archetype that is a comfort pick for us is extremely important, because it means we should be able to have a great level of play on the deck, even with outside circumstances impairing or focus or fatigue or that kind of things. And for a lot of people, that archetype is Silver Surfer, because it's been around for a very long time, and because it's actually fairly simple to understand. But once again, like, basically any archetype that's been around for more than 6 months could be considered this way. The reason I use Surfer as an example is because Lockjaw requires you to count, and it could be a little bit of a bad idea if you expect a lot of Darkhawk decks, because rocks are not very helpful for Lockjaw. And Patriot right now, as we established before, is played as a relative power deck. So if you just bring your Comfort Patriot with the wrong tech cards, or with no tech cards at all, you're basically bringing a bad deck. So Surfer has a list that is established that is barely moving. Like, I think it's 10 cards that have not moved in a very long time. And then we have to decide, do we play Jeff, or do we play Invisible Woman, or do we play an extra 3-drop? And then it's, do we play Cosmo, or do we play Shadow King, or do we play Rogue? And that's about it for a deck. And the thing is, even if we wouldn't know what to do, we can't really get it wrong. I mean, Cosmo is great, Rogue has really good targets, and Shadow King has really good targets. So even if you pick the wrong one, you're still not in the wrong. While if you pick the wrong Lockjaw list, Shang-Chi's gonna pick you apart. If you put the wrong techs in your Patriot deck, you're left with a raw power deck with worse average draw, that kind of thing. Surfer has that ability that, unless you go completely off the book, you have a good deck no matter what. Considering it's based on comfort, I don't think I should have a ton of things to explain. I'll explain the most important one, which is Spider-Man or Sarah. Over the last month, around, maybe a little less, Spider-Man has started to take more ground in the Surfer deck, because at first he was really annoying for bounce. Like, on turn 5, Spider-Man was just pretty much telling bounce, you're not playing here. And Sarah remained the best card if you look at large sample sizes, especially because Sarah is a bot farmer on ladder. Like, on ladder, Sarah is one of the best cards in the game, because bots are incredibly dumb against it. While on Conquest, right now, with a lot of lockdown decks, you play Sarah, you get Profexed, or you get Spider-Man, and suddenly you regret a lot about your decisions. Which is why you're usually going to see Sarah much more in a ladder environment, and you're going to see Spider-Man much more in a Conquest environment. Are there other things that you want to know about Surfer? Or comfort archetypes in general? I will take this as a no. Moving on, the Slipper Pick. So what is a Slipper Pick? It is a deck that basically is going to push the opponent to make incredibly bad decisions because they have no idea what we're playing, or they're not used to play against it, so maybe they're going to be a little overconfident, or they're not going to respect some of the things that we might do, or we could have play patterns that they have not see or like understood by just the few rounds that we played earlier, and so we might be able to catch them off guard with one play pattern, and then they see us snapping, so they think we're going to do it again, and we actually hit them with a second one, that kind of thing. Like, basically the idea of the Slipper Pick is see this as the surprise Enchantress or the surprise Shang-Chi, except the whole deck is the surprise. It's just you have no idea what I'm playing. And for a while, this is also why Invisible Woman was seeing so much play. Because the more people play Invisible Woman, the more difficult it is to know what's behind it. Right now, it's a ton of Hela Tribunal, so everyone knows what's behind it, so the surprise is gone. But at some point, Sarah was playing it, Hela was playing it, Patriot was playing it, Surfer was playing it. So when you see Invisible Woman, you're like, well, fuck, I have no idea what's behind that card, I have no idea how to counter it. So why this particular deck of Hela? Being completely honest, because the data told me so. I looked at the data on our deck tracker and the other ones available, and this build of Hela was doing much, much better than Hela Tribunal in Conquest precisely, and I tried it this morning, and honestly, the deck is just reliable. Like, this is basically a Lockjaw deck, except there's Hela in it. Like, it plays more like a Lockjaw deck than it plays like a Hela deck. And the only thing that I think could be debatable is which discards we're including. And Gambit and Moon Knight are actually pretty good, because in Conquest, you can steal a lot of wins by just hitting a lucky target and then snapping, and the opponent is gone, and you just got a cube for absolutely no reason. Are there questions about the concept of a slipper pick and trying to use the surprise effect in general, or questions about this deck in particular? I don't expect it to be a lot that you're going to face, but I expect it to be really good. Like, personally, I tried it in gold this morning, and I was amazed at the result.
I think you nailed it with this one, the Gambit. You know, the hitting good targets with that is clutch for this. Seems like when I played it.
Yeah,
I mean, that ends up swapping out a high power card half the time too, along with you getting another Gambit, right? Usually.
Yeah, that's often the idea, and in the lockdown meta, Moon Knight is often really fun, because if you Moon Knight a Professor X, snap on the spot. Even if your hand is terrible, it doesn't matter, they're gonna leave. So yeah, it's a little bit of surprise, a little bit of trying to force your luck, but that looks like a good deck currently. And the last one that we're gonna talk about is Moon Girl Double, which is currently one of the better decks in the tournament metagame. Now, before we go into the good things we have to say about the deck, I have to make two little disclaimers. Number one, tournament metagame means very extremely small sample size, but it should mean sample size against good players. So it's really up to your belief. Some people like huge sample sizes, but you have no idea who you play against. And others are going to tell you 20 games is better if we know it was 20 serious opponents, because we know everyone played their game. Well, if you have 10,000 games of ladder and they don't tell you the rank, you're like, cool, if 6,000 of these games are played below rank 50, what the hell am I supposed to do with the numbers? Like, you probably played against bots half the time. So for that, there is no good or bad reason. It's up to you. The second thing is, usually when you see a deck perform really well in a tournament, you have to assume the players that played it are really good at it. If you see a lot of players do extremely good with a deck, well, you basically probably found an extremely good deck and abuse it before everyone else knows. But if you have a small sample size and extremely good results, that means not many people are playing it. And that probably means the few people that are playing it, either they're on to something, and once again, take the idea before everybody else catches up, or these guys are extremely strong with the deck, which means if you test the deck and you don't have the same results, well, it's probably because you don't have the month of training on the deck that these players have. So that's something to take into consideration. Now, although it's kind of a raw power deck, I can't help but look at the many tech cards that are included in this deck and wonder, is this deck gonna do as good without Echo, without Armor, without Cosmo, and these kind of cards? And the thing is, we have someone that wants to play it tonight, and I think that's the exact same list, so that's perfect. So we'll actually talk about it during gameplay. But if there are any questions or things that you guys want to discuss about, we can go over it right now.
See ya.
See ya. Okay. Oh, hello, Geekmate.
Hello Dan, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Sorry if I'm late, I don't know when you start.
Oh, it's in the channel. We started 40 minutes ago.
Ah, okay.
Should have pinned that. That's on me. Sorry. I saw Silverman try to unmute. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're going to talk about this later, but I've actually found this one difficult to counter. So I don't know if you had any strategies about that in particular, or like I said, maybe we'll get to it.
So its biggest counter, and that's the great thing with tournament picks, it's the biggest counter to this deck is wave. Because you pass your turn, and you're like, oh, 0-cost She-Hulk, and your opponent waves, and you're just... I mean, you're going to lose that game, but the real feeling is you want to uninstall Marvel Snap on the spot. The good thing is, since the OTA about bounce, wave, I think I've seen 2 waves. Total. Like, wave is nowhere to be seen, so that's also what makes a great deck, when the counter isn't around. If there's no counter around, the power is going to be much higher, because that deck that is supposed to limit your performance does not exist. So if you expect a lot of Moon Girl double, I think you just take the good card deck that we discussed before and just make it a good card wave like good old times. And you just play wave whenever on turn 5 or 6, depending on if they have magic or not. And that might be good.
I love it. That's one of the funny things about, like you said, cards falling out of the meta after a while. Like, I even forgot to consider that as an option. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the essence of card games. And that's why card games are a dynamic environment. It's because whenever we know exactly what are the good and the bad decks, well, we're probably going to counter the good decks. So the good decks are going to change, and it's constantly rotating. Alright, so that was the first part on the theory about how to approach it. We covered a little bit of decks. We discussed about how to look at the metagame. Let's have, as usual, like 4 or 5 minute break. Geekmate, if you want to stay around, I can fill you up on what happened. And then we're going to discuss about your strategy, guys. So I already have 2 decks. White Toast, I don't know if you already had an idea of what deck you wanted to bring into the Infinity Conquest, but if you want to send it in the group coaching chat, you're most welcome. And otherwise, it's 11:44 at my watch. Let's say max 11:50, and then we start playing your decks.
Okay, cool. I didn't bring any deck. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. Right. So, Geekmate, just so you know what we did. So we looked at this article, and then we looked at this. So this is the way that I usually rank the meta when I want to try to understand what to expect in a tournament. So you basically have to kind of... Are you okay with the concepts of raw power and relative power?
I'm not sure.
Okay, raw power is decks that are going to beat you on points. Relative power are decks that are going to beat you because they're good against your game plan.
Okay.
So raw, I'm going to enforce my game plan onto you, and my game plan is better than yours. Relative, okay. I'm going to counter your game plan, so you're not going to make points, and I'll have more than you anyway.
Okay, so I'm a raw power guy. Usually I prefer to play decks that cause a lot of points by themselves.
Okay. And currently in the meta, if we look at the tier 1, all the tier 1 are relative power decks, because good cards is Shang-Chi, Enchantress, and that kind of decks. Surfer is Cosmo, Shadow King, Killmonger, and that kind of cards. Thanos control is Professor X, Spider-Man, and that kind of cards. And Sarah control is just Sarah and has many tech cards that it's humanly possible to put in the deck.
I'm not surprised.
So that means, unless we can find a raw power deck which dodges all these counters, which is extremely hard to do because, like, you need to dodge Shang-Chi and Enchantress, you need to dodge Killmonger, Shadow King, Polaris, and you need to dodge Prof X and Spider-Man. That's a lot of things to dodge. We're probably going to expect relative power, a relative metagame, meaning we're going to have to make decisions of what we counter and what we do not counter. And that's what we talked about in this article, looking at the different strategies. So strategy number 1 is just pick a deck that you're very safe with. You know it's really good. Let the others do the work. Number 2 is pick the latest trending deck. And the one that makes the most sense against the current metagame, and just hope the metagame doesn't change. Number 3 is just pick a deck that you're very, very comfortable about, because at least you know you'll be able to play against a lot of decks because you know your deck in and out. Number 4, which is the strategy where we just try to bring a raw power deck that nobody expects. And number 5, look at what is happening in tournament instead of looking at what's happening on ladder or that kind of things, and see if there is a really good deck in tournaments lately which you could use to surprise the competition. Except we took 40 minutes to say all that.
I think the deck I played the most the last 2 weeks is the Surfer negative with Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, we could put it probably here. It's like you play it for a staple. I mean, you can play Rogue in it. You can play. Can you send it in the chat?
Yeah, of course. Just need 5 seconds.
Sure. I mean, we're supposed to be on a break.
But I think the deck is very different than the one you are showing right now.
Well, if you're playing the negative one, it's normal because it's not the same deck. Hello, Kiralos.
Où est-ce que je peux l'envoyer?
Tu le fous dans le groupe coaching.
Ah oui, ok. J'ai trop de fenêtres. Je crois que c'est celui-là.
Hello again. You're arriving in the middle of the break, Kiralas, so it's why not much is happening.
So it's that one. The one I'm playing. The one I played a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of raw power indeed.
Yes, it's really a raw power deck. And it was working very well 2 weeks ago. And it's working not that much anymore. Because there is a lot of counter in the meta, a lot of people trying to close, the lane. And I need space to deploy the deck.
And lots of Cosmo too.
Yes. So it's it's really harder. Enchantress countering Iron Man or Sarah. So it's a lot harder to play. It was really strong when just after the patch. No, it was not the patch. It was an OTA. I don't remember.
Yeah, the OTA. Okay. Is everyone back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, that's 1. That's 2. Do we have White Toes back?
Yep.
All right. So, almost on the fence about Cosmo. All right. So now we're gonna go into the practical part. So we have 4 people. Maybe if we rush it, we're able to get 1 conquest match for each, hopefully. So we're gonna try to be efficient so we can get as much gameplay in as possible. Who wants to go first?
How about
I'll
I've been coming to this a lot, so how about we put me last, and if there's not time, then we miss me, but everybody else gets a chance.
Okay. Thanks for the sacrifice.
No problem.
Not for long, you were gonna say something?
If anyone else wants to go first, because I've been going as well, I'm happy to go near the end. But
we need someone to go first, so let's go. All right, can you share your screen? I'll put your deck list on. So that'll be for the gameplay. So what we're gonna do is very simple. Did I not? I didn't save, of course. Save image. Here. There we go. We should have it on screen. So, we want to do 2 things. First, core, flex, tech cards of the deck. Make sure we understand it. Second, why did you pick certain cards in the current metagame? And third, let's play.
yeah, so the core cards, and so this is kind of the conversation I've been trying to figure out for a little bit. Definitely Moon Girl, She-Hulk, and Sunspot.
Okay.
However, I think at this point, I mean, you could build the deck with Infinite, but I think Hulk is just so much better.
Okay.
That High Evolutionary and Hulk might also be core cards.
I mean, if you're putting Hulk, I'm guessing you're putting High Evolutionary in it as well.
Yeah.
They kind of go together lately.
That's for sure.
And could you consider playing the deck without Misty Knight then?
You could. I mean, Nebula is a card. I think Misty Knight is better, but you could run Nebula or Wasp or something else kind of mattering what you're trying to do.
All right, so that leaves a lot of flexibility to the deck. That means we have Echo, Armor, Jeff, Magic, Cosmo, Chavez, which are flexible. So why are we playing these cards?
So the American Chavez and Magic are kind of like the Moon Girl core package support.
Okay.
Allowing you to have an extra turn with 7 more energy.
Makes sense.
And allowing you to draw into Moon Girl and your 1-drops more often.
All right.
Cosmo and Armor are kind of your main forms of protection from Shang-Chi and Killmonger. Kind of the 2 major threats between the 3 1-drops and the 2 big things.
Is Shang-Chi really a problem? Like, when do you expect to have priority with this thing?
Not often. I think Cosmo and Armor, the Cosmo is a little bit more interactive.
I mean, I could understand Cosmo because you need to protect the Limbo from magic, from like Scarlet, the Redstone, or that kind of thing. But if Armor is the protection for Shang-Chi, I feel like this deck should barely have priority ever.
Every once in a while. Well, I guess one of the lines is if you Limbo, you can Hulk on 6, Hulk on 7.
Oh.
And without protection, your Hulk can get Shang-Chi'd.
Okay, I can see that happening.
And so that's something common that at least I'm looking to do.
All right, that answers my question. So we have Echo and Jeff left.
Yeah. So Echo, although it has some splash damage, is pretty much just to beat up on the Thanos control list. It more or less wins you a lane because they can't Devil Dino, they can't Professor Exit, and it shuts down. They can't play a whole bunch of cards into that lane, so it gives you a lot, allows you to kind of be more flexible with your other 2 lanes.
All right. Okay, I see what you mean.
And Jeff is kind of more of a tech card that's just good. Because there's so much Professor X and there's so much Spider-Man that you want to get into those lanes. That you wouldn't normally be able to because you're often skipping turn 5 or 6 where they're Professor Xing and Spider-Man.
Okay. All right. Feels like you have a pretty good theory about the deck, and you know what is each card's role. So let's see how it goes in real situation. I think I can do this. Yes, I can do this. All right. Do we have a conquest ticket or anything ready to go?
Yeah, we can do Conquest.
Let's go. Okay, do you have any idea of like decks that you want to play against and decks that you want to avoid playing against with this?
I mean, I think the Sarah, or especially the Sarah Surfer deck, but Surfer in general has been good for me. I feel like we can get over them in points. Their only interaction with Limbo is Storm, and you can storm their Limbo.
Okay.
I'm gonna just do Misty Knight middle.
Question: why are we playing Misty Knight while we have Hulk in hand?
Yeah, Hulk. I want those 2 points. That's yes. Right.
Let's not rush. We have time, especially with this deck. Oh.
All right. I'm gonna do Sunspot right.
Isn't Misty Knight better because you have Raptors to target?
Yes, it definitely is.
If
I guess they
you
are
didn't have
same amount.
Raptors, no, Misty Knight is a 1/3. Sunspot is a 1/1. And also this turn you're losing 1 energy, which is perfect. Next turn, like it opens basically like more flexibility for your future. Because like the best amount of energy you want to waste with Misty Knight is 1, while Sunspot you can waste as much as you want basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay. So options.
Yes. So now we have Zabu. So what are we expecting from our opponent if we see Zabu?
So the main thing that I'm considering right now is Killmonger.
Yes, and that hurts mightily with our hand.
Yeah. I'm gonna play the Sunspot next to the Misty Knight and kind of hope for an armor.
Okay, I mean it's either that or play Sunspot on Clintar and hope it transforms before you get Killmonger. That's the 2 options.
I think because we might skip 5 with our hand. Or 4, that it might be more points. Well, I guess it's after 4. We'll try that. That sounds good. But Iron Fist there too. Oh, wrong order.
Well, just remember your next card is gonna change. Okay, so we have Zabu plus Brood. So the good
So
cards.
this is the negative deck.
Okay, yeah, it could be a Patriot like the
with Zabu.
Yeah, some Patriots are when you're playing both Shang-Chi and Super Skrull in the deck. With Iron Lad, you have like 3-4 costs, so it makes sense to have Zabu. Not saying it's incredible, but it makes sense.
I think we should just probably pass now, so we can play both She-Hulk and Hulk.
So we're ruling out Killmonger, or we're just hoping he doesn't play it on Clintar? I mean, they have initiative anyway, so...
He has initiative, yeah. We can't, or they have initiative. We can't do anything about that.
All right. Please don't be that. What?
Snap? I mean, there's...
We can't get bots in Conquest, right? Especially in Gold.
With an infinite border?
Okay, what the hell just happened? Is there any reason? All right, let's take a second and let's respect our opponent here. Is there any logical reason someone might want to lose their Wong and it's not just they didn't read the freaking location?
We do run Cosmo, and it's a pretty much staple of this deck. That
Okay.
I mean,
but still, I love the
maybe.
idea to snap. I mean, someone, their fourth turn was 2 points. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, they didn't read.
Actually, that's really good because you got a cube, and in their head, you might just be high evolutionary. They don't know you're Moon Girl. While you picked up a ton of information about them.
And it's with the Wong. It's probably most
With the
definitely
one, yeah, you can put them on the
negative.
negative deck. Yes, until like this is the case where until proven otherwise, we're gonna put them on negative.
Okay.
Do you believe, guys, that he gave up because you made a mistake?
No, he gave up because we snapped on him.
Yeah, but do you think that it was another thing that made him give up? That before he was saying, maybe he was saying to himself, "Ah, I made a mistake." You snap, and it was too much for him. So.
Oh yeah, well I mean we snapped, so he knew he was gonna lose the game. I think we were pretty far ahead too.
I think I'm gonna try to snipe the Zabu, so I'm gonna do Misty and Echo on the left.
Ooh.
If that is what they end up playing.
Oh my god, so many raptors.
Uh,
Yeah, and Echo is a great follow-up to Misty because we lose an energy. Oh, Giga
Yeah.
Brain.
that's the snap, right? I mean,
I would
we have
snap
Moon
the
Girl.
hell out of them.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have pretty much everything.
Yep.
I don't really need to do that now, so might as well just make sure that rock goes to the other side.
Yeah, because if they play Brood, they actually give you rock.
Okay.
Or they
and
just
we don't have to.
do it for you. And
That
yeah,
is fine.
I feel like Magic definitely finishes to validate the Surfer theory.
I still think I'm gonna Magic the big house.
Do you really need to change that? Because if they don't have negative, that's a lot of cards they can't play here. Well, you're gonna be able to drop double She-Hulk in there.
Good point. The question is, are we She-Hulking this turn?
No, I would Moon Girl this turn. Your hand is perfect for it.
Okay. We can also Moon Girl next turn and float the energy anyways.
That's true. You can, but it's true, but then you wouldn't get the draw.
Okay.
Oh, because you play Magic this turn. My bad. If you play Magic this turn, yes, then we can just Magic whatever, like, location we don't care about.
Move Jeff. That's fine.
Alright, so that's good news because they don't have negative. Unless they play Wasp. Please don't play Wasp. It's not Wasp. What?
So they also can't Iron Man left, so that's something to note.
Yeah. Well, now you even have to think, like, what can they do left? Because Brood? That's the biggest thing. Like, they can't Wong. They can Iron Man if they Mystic it. So
does Mystique work through Echo? I actually just
no, but they can Iron Man middle, Mystique right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean they can still play.
I meant
Iron
more
Man?
like they can still get Iron Man's effect on Big House through Mystique.
Yes. I was thinking, how are we winning left at this point?
Well,
but
how we're winning left? My guess is move Jeff, drop Hulk. Okay.
Okay. So we're just skipping.
So let's do math, just because I like to. What's more points? Pass, double She-Hulk, Hulk, or just Hulk?
We can't put the Hulk in the big house. I mean, we probably will win anyways if we put. Okay. Yeah. So that's.
Because you can either pass and then Hulk challenges left or middle and double She-Hulk right, or you can just leave him big house and Hulk left, Hulk middle. That's also a possibility.
So
I'm not saying
Hulk,
one is better than
Hulk
the other, though.
middle is 44, and
The risk with Hulk middle is they
Mhm.
beat you with like Ironheart or something like that. I don't think if you Hulk left you can lose it, to be honest. But yeah, but then if you need
Okay.
only one Hulk, you don't need to play it. No, you
should
can,
we just try to Hulk
then you can pass. No, because in the
pass?
end we just need one Hulk. Because if they play left, we know exactly what we have to beat. And if they don't play left, they reveal they have Mystique, and I don't think they have any cards in the game that are gonna match Hulk left. So now you know exactly what you have to beat. Not even sure they have any card in the game that beats She-Hulk left.
So we should just move Jeff anyways, because I don't think we're winning Big House. I don't really think it's worth trying with how many cards they can put there. And it'll just give us more power.
So we go 23 on the left. They can't beat 23. It's really the middle. And the middle is going to be, what, 28? They solved the bug, right? We get the +2 for passing 1 energy.
Yeah.
So we go... Yeah, like, the only way we lose middle, I think, is Ironheart. And they actually get all the hits in the middle. And then I'm going to yell.
I guess they could Wong Ironheart. Technically. No,
they can't. Big House.
Alright. Let's...
What? What are we missing? Are we missing anything?
I don't think so. And I don't know. I'm happy for science to see what... Alright, so that's Ironheart.
Yeah, no.
9. Yeah, no.
Nope, buddy.
Okay.
Nope. They were closer than expected, but... Nope. Alright. One more cube.
The end game on this deck is just so gross with all the Hulks.
I mean,
It's kind of nuts.
that's the thing. Like, people are not supposed to snap on you when you have the perfect setup. That's also that. Like, we should have gotten 2 cubes out of this, and it'd be 10-7 and still a close game. But alright.
Yeah, because it's a tournament deck, like you said, and not as many people
Exactly.
hate it, then you just don't see it as much. But I mean, I get that I don't see a way that this is not going to be played a ton.
I mean, honestly, like, if it was a real tournament environment, I'm out at the moment I got my Zabu cancelled. Alright, who's up next?
I can if you want.
Sure. So what are we playing?
We are playing a negative surfer, I suppose.
Oh, after that performance, let's go. So, I'm gonna show the image you sent me, and we'll see if we want to play the same. Alright, so we got Surfer negative on our screen. For the others, you have it either on my screen or in the chat. So tell us a little bit about deck. Why do you want to bring it?
Because he's doing a lot of points, and I reach infinity with it. So
Okay.
at some point I was very confident with it. It's true that it's less performant now.
Okay.
It's much more counter on the meta right now, but I'm still very comfortable with it. So I have an issue when I need to change deck. I know that it will take me, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 games before being really efficient with it, knowing all the matchup, and so most of the time I prefer to keep a deck that proves that it works.
Okay, so comfort pick.
Exact.
Okay. Is it comfort picked about there's 12 cards, or is it comfort pick about the archetype, and maybe we can work the archetype to fit the metagame a little better?
Alors, to be honest, I'm very comfortable with these 12 cards, but I'm
Okay.
open to any discussion about those cards.
Basically, I would have two questions.
Yeah, the one that I think I can replace is Hitmonkey right now.
Great. That was part of my questions.
Okay.
Question number 1. Why is it Psylocke and not Zabu?
I thought that because I have only 2 4-cost cards, that Psylocke could be more flexible and could help. For example, when I some turn 5, I can play a 3-cost card and Psylocke for the last turn, and could help me to play Wong and something last turn, for example.
Zabu does too because it's Wong.
Yeah, I know. But
There is one reason to play Psylocke, is that you can play Psylocke behind Wong and get stupid amount of mana.
Yeah.
But okay. And second question. So we already talked about Hitmonkey. The second question was Sarah. The deck is already is pretty weak against Lockdown already. Do we really want to add another card that's weak against Lockdown?
to be honest, I don't know.
Okay, that's sometimes it's the best answer. So let's do what we do when we're not really sure. We go check the popular lists. Do I have the tier list? No. Snap Zone. What's the list of Surfer right now? Here. Here. So the differences are what? Zabu for Psylocke, but we already discussed it. Wolfsbane. It's Wolfsbane you don't have?
I'm okay to change Zabu for Psylocke. I thought
it's
that
fine.
with only two 4 cards, it was not that much more helpful. I don't know.
That's alright. So it's Hitmonkey for Wolfsbane. I actually don't know which one is better. Wolfsbane is better.
I think Wolfbane, yes, could be better because the difficulty sometimes with Hitmonkey is to play it with a lot of cards at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like your deck gets honestly destroyed by Lockdown. Like you have all the choices that make Lockdown's gonna punish you with Hitmonkey plus Sarah. So maybe we could have like a little bit of a middle ground. And then the other card is what? Rogue? What decks do you want Rogue for? Oh, I know what we could try, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
It would be to actually get Zabu instead of Psylocke.
Okay.
And then actually play Super Scroll, which is another 4-cost, and it's a good negative target. And suddenly it's not Rogue, which you have to target and you have to count and everything. You just have Super Scroll, and that helps against Thanos Control, which is the deck you have a problem against because Lockdown.
Okay, let's try.
That could be a way to adapt to the metagame.
Okay, nice. I like it.
So what are we removing? Sarah or Hitmonkey for it?
Removing Psylocke.
So Psylocke for Zabu because we go to 3 4-costs.
Okay.
And then I guess Sarah because we're still a Surfer deck. Not sure. Well, if you wanted Wolfsbane, it's just we play both, but
No. So Sarah against 4-cost card. It was
Super Scroll.
Super Scroll. Okay.
Super Scroll. And then Wolfsbane or Hitmonkey, I guess, just test it.
Okay. Let's do that.
All right. Then let's share a screen and let's beat up some dudes in Conquest.
Okay.
Of course, if others want to join the discussion and everything, and you have ideas about the deck, like feel free to step in.
Yes, please. So I need to share my screen.
Do you have a silver or gold ticket, perhaps, so we don't have to play in Proving Grounds, where it's a little bit more like... Unfortunately, it's a little bit more
I am in the
wacky.
middle of a conquest.
Ah, perfect.
Do you see my screen?
I have it.
So guys, it's in French, but I suppose you know the game.
Does
well, so-
everyone knows the pictures of the cards? All right.
Let's go. Ouais, si, c'est ça. Enfin, on est tout de suite.
Oh, Toast left. He was gonna go next. No. All right. So try to get us through your thought process. Try to give us as much information. Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not very happy with the start.
Yeah.
Shadowland nowhere super hard. I have no 1 cost or 2 cost cards, so I'm just passing. So the only 1 cost card I have is Bast. The only 2 cost card I have is Zabu now.
Okoye? Zola?
And I lost my Wong.
What are we facing?
So
Okoye and Zola.
Maybe there is a Black Panther in
Oh.
Zola Panther, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I suppose I could play Brood on Sokovi, for example.
I mean, right now the question is how much information you want to give to your opponent compared to how much do you think you can win this game?
I have absolutely no idea if I can win this game.
Because if you think you can't win, there's a plan where you just literally pass your turns and just figure out what your opponent is playing. Otherwise, you can actually play cards and try to win it.
I would say let's play it.
Okay.
Zola could be a key card,
So I guess they just play Okoye to buff something in their deck. Nimrod?
No?
I don't know.
I'm not sure that Super Scroll will be really helpful against a destroyed deck.
It's good against Null, but you need to keep it for turn 6 to get the surprise.
Okay. We can Bast and Wolfsbane.
So you want a Wolfsbane to the right?
Well, Wolfsbane on Sokovi.
Okay, so we just lock ourselves. Well, we still have Surfer, so we could still surprise. Okay, I mean...
Can do that. Bast here.
We get a
if you
win.
want Effect.
Yep. Oh. Are we staying here, or are we leaving?
I really don't know. Do you think it's safer to leave right now?
I mean, you're the one with your hand on the mouse. Like, honestly, I don't care if you win or lose, as long as you learn something.
Okay.
But if you want to play it. Like, today is science. Today we're actually working on trying to get you ready for the conquest. If taking risks help you, great. I don't mind.
No, me too. I don't mind. I don't mind losing.
It's actually not such a bad hand. It's crazy. What? I've never seen that. Someone snapped, play Shuri left. What?
Yeah,
What? This is dark magic. Alright. But actually the draw of Surfer made the game playable.
Okay. I suppose I'm playing Bass on Mojo World.
So, let's take a second. We know they are a destroy deck, right?
Yeah.
Are you afraid of Killmonger? Because Killmonger on Bast loses you Mojo World on the spot.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's that. You mean, yeah.
I mean, usually Destroy is going to keep Killmonger for the last turn, and they're going to play Killmonger and just be 4 against 3.
It's true. Okay, I suppose I will play Magic on Dream Dimension.
Okay.
Turn.
And also, when we don't have Zabu nor Negative in hand, sometimes you can keep Bast for turn 2.
Yeah.
Because it's really rare that you're gonna have something to do on turn 2 if you don't have, like, you don't have any other card than Zabu. And even if you play Zabu on turn 2, if you don't have Negative or Wong, you can still play Bast on turn 3.
Okay. I can also Brood next turn on Mojo World and Magic on turn 4.
Okay, they have Okoye a lot. Oh. Oh. Alright, that's a really, really good hand now.
I would go Brood here.
Why do you want to reveal Brood so early? I feel like you're going through your game plan, which is good, but you're also giving a lot of information to your opponent early on.
Okay, let's magic so.
I think so. But do we want to magic this? I think I want to magic Clintar, but you don't care about playing Iron Man on turn 5 because there's going to be 7 turns. You can just play it on turn 6.
It's true.
While Dream Dimension ruins their Shuri into Nimrod kind of a pattern.
I
Okay.
suppose I'm negative here.
Is there a reason to play it here, or is it just because you want to play something on Mojo World?
The reason is I think -1 on somewhere I could have a 100 is okay.
So you don't think they're gonna play 4 cards?
I don't know,
Okay.
but potentially I
Okay,
think
okay.
it's less here than other
Alright.
other location.
Question. When are we gonna snap? Because I mean, we have magic, we have negative, we have everything we want.
Yeah. We can snap now.
I mean, I would have snapped 2 turns ago, to be honest, but
So I'm playing Brood.
Brood. Yes, but where?
I would go here.
Why?
Because with Iron Heart and Silver Surfer, I think it's gonna be very efficient.
Okay, then why not Mojo World so you have space? Because you know you want to play 4 on Mojo World. And it's actually pretty good because you still keep the surprise effect. While they think they just have to beat 5, and instead they have to beat much more.
Am I playing Iron Heart this turn too?
It's a 0 cost. I don't see why.
And it's probably a Galactus deck.
Oh, it can be a Galactus. Galactus plays Okoye? Crazy. And they play Shuri too?
Ah, yes, Galactus.
Well, if they play Galactus, you just win because you super scroll their null.
Okay. I can Iron Man in the middle.
Yep.
No, but well, I don't know. I suppose if I don't know.
Well, it's fine. You have Mystique anyway, so. So it was a Nimrod deck. Alright, let's just go for 1 billion points now.
So, in which order are we playing? I suppose we are playing.
No, there's 1 card that you need to play first. 100%.
Ah, it's sorry, it's Mystic.
Yep.
Yes. Mystic here.
Okay.
I would go Iron Heart here. Wolfbane here and Surfer here.
I think I would put the points in the middle, but I'm not sure. Because their goal is probably to destroy the Nimrod. So probably the right is the easiest to win. So I think I would do Ironheart, Wolfsbane in the middle, and then Surfer right. You still get at least 16 to the right. Plus maybe Ironheart hits, which is 20. That's okay. Oh, they got the double destroy?
Maybe Venom plus Carnage. No, I don't know. You already play Carnage? I don't know.
No, he didn't. Not this game.
Yes.
I mean, they still have to beat a ton. So they get 21 plus 14, so they probably win this one. Alright, they win left too. Alright, you were right. Should have put the points on the right. Could have. Yeah, we would have won if we put the points on the right.
Yeah.
Alright, that's on me. They had the double destroy.
Okay, that's okay. I said it very instinctively.
That's all good. But now you know exactly what they play, so it's a battle of raw power decks. I would snap the hell out of them with this hand. I mean, you get Zabu and negative in a battle of raw power decks. If you don't snap when you have negative on turn 3, you never snap.
So here I'm not playing Zabu. I'm not playing Bast, sorry. Maybe turn 4 I'm playing Bast.
Well, just do the math. Do you think a 3/3, well, a 3 power negative is better than a negative card?
Oh, for sure. You're right.
Ooh.
Okay, I suppose I'm playing negative here.
Yeah. We have all the cards we want to copy in the deck. That's so good. Except for Mystique, but Wong is still there. Iron Man is still there. Ironheart was still there.
Okay, now I suppose it's Magic plus Bast.
Do you really want to play Magic? Because your opponent showed you they are capable of playing 7 turns. And now you know they have Deadpool, so you basically give them an extra turn to destroy it.
Okay.
So maybe you can keep Magic for 1 more turn.
Okay. So I can play Brood here?
I think there might be a case where you just play Bast this turn.
Only Bast?
Well, you played negative, your deck doesn't cost anything.
So I'm Basting here?
Sure.
Maybe.
Unless you want to abandon left. You could abandon left and try to win left, right, and middle, but
But it's only 1 point. Is it really valuable on Baxter Building to play Bast?
it's more of a spot thing. Okay, they have Shuri. See, like, considering we have Iron Man plus Mystique, I'm not sure we want to play Magic.
Okay. So the idea here is to play Brood now.
Yes.
We can play Iron Man to complete this lane.
Yep.
And then we play Mystic, I suppose, in the middle.
Yeah, and then you top deck Wong or Surfer, and
We see what happens.
you're great. Do they have Nimrod again? They have Nimrod again. Oh, that's good.
So Iron Man here, Mystic there, and I suppose it's something like that.
You have to play that left. She cost 1.
And this one I cannot play it.
It's okay. I mean, left isn't so bad. I mean, it's a 12. No, it's a 9. I bet it's 12.
Yeah.
That's still a ton of points. Okay, so they basically abandon Baxter Building.
Je suis Iron Man. Je suis Iron Man.
This one is for me.
All right, Well, it's good because you're picking up a raw power deck. We only have one tech card, and you're against another one, and your ceiling is higher than his. So the only thing you have to do is consider how much points can you develop, and how long do you need to do it. So like in this game, it was like super interesting to look at the fact that playing Magic actually just only helps your opponent because we filled the board. Like we could play everything. We didn't need more space. Like turn 7 would have not done anything for us.
It's true. I tend to develop my plan on my own, without taking too much care of my opponent, what he can do or not.
Oh, that's what we hear.
I suppose I Zabu now, no? Yes.
Yeah, why not? And your opponent hasn't shown you any counter to Wong yet. I think we almost have the full list. So it's probably safe to just play Wong and abuse it.
Okay, I'm gonna blast.
Yeah, because we Wong on turn 3. Okay, so if we don't draw a negative, it's probably a Wong game. They never kill Deadpool. What the hell? People are so weird today. Again with the 9 cost.
Going to Wong here.
Yes, you want a Wong where you have space.
I think I'm brooding in the middle.
Or playing that guy.
Suppose he's going here.
So once again, we're abandoning the right. It's a plan. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just we're telling our opponent, we give you right.
I'm abandoning the right because I want to brood in the middle, and then I want to do a lot of points with Wong and stuff.
Okay. I think I would negative in the middle because a destroy deck is not going to be able to put a lot of points in Wakanda. Like, the only thing you have to beat is Nimrod. That's about it. They can't Venom, they can't Carnage, they can't do a lot of things.
Okay.
So it should be easy to win Wakanda, even with negative in it. Oh, by Bast. Okay, so now, same question as the last game. Do we think Magic is good for us or not?
A little better than before because we could draw good cards.
Yes.
Like Super.
It's much, much better. 1, we have a ton of unreveals in the deck. 2, we still have Mystique, which is negative, so it's great with Iron Man. 3, the opponent did not play Shuri, so we are not giving them one more turn for Nimrod or that kind of thing. Like, they have a 2-power Deadpool, we're gonna survive to that.
So Magic here, let's go.
Yep. And once again, like, if this is about the perfect scenario, do we want to snap or not? Or maybe we're worried about the Deadpool becoming too big.
We'll see.
Ooh.
Okay, so here there is a Iron Man that could be played, and then we will play Mystique.
Yeah, I think as long as you play Iron Man, you can play anything you want next turn.
Okay. Iron Man here.
Do you have a reason or not?
I don't want to play on the Wong lane because maybe there is better stuff to play here.
Well, you won't need 3 spaces, but sure. I mean, the only way you ruin 3 spaces is if you play Brood behind it.
Yes.
But you could.
I'd like to keep...
Sure. No,
yeah.
I think Iron Man to the right is good, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it puts you in a dominant position in another lane than Wakanda. So you force them to win Wakanda. And I would still snap also. Like, if you think you're going to win, like, this is a raw power battle. If you think you have more points than your opponent, go for it. Oh. All right. Let's win the game.
I suppose I'm gonna Mystic here.
Yes.
I can Brood here.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, your opponent has 9, you're gonna play 6. It's lost points. It does nothing. Brood middle does nothing.
Yes, but here I can scroll in Wolfsbane and it's gonna be better than to Brood, no?
Yeah, it's better. That's why I want to play Brood to the right, not in the middle.
Ah, okay.
It's just play it where the points actually matter.
Okay. You're right. Let's do it.
Can you reverse Wolfsbane and Super Scroll, please? So Mystic left, Wolfsbane left, Super Scroll left. Wolfsbane doesn't need cards to be revealed to work. And if by any chance in the world, which is not gonna happen, but just so we can talk about it, they play Cosmo, your Wolfsbane is not cancelled. Nimrod, Deadpool. So they really wanted the middle. Too bad they lost it. And now, the biggest Wolfsbane ever.
Nice.
All right.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was good to see a battle of raw power decks, because these are actually the easiest and the most difficult at the same time, because it's really easy because you only have one thing to focus around. Like, just focus on, do I put more points than my opponent? Yes, snap. No, gather information or leave.
Okay.
That's all it is. And then just place your points depending on what they do. And in that regard, the one thing that was really important in those games is stay flexible. In a battle of points, if you tell the opponent where your points are going to go, it's much easier for them to use their points effectively. Because at the moment you show your Iron Man, they're like, all right, I'm not going to win this lane. And so they know all their points are going to go in 2 lanes. While if you keep the Iron Man for the end of the game, now that you know they're not playing Wave, they're not playing Sandman or that kind of cards, you can surprise them with points. And the goal is, look at that lane on the left. They have 21 points on the left. Well, these 21 points are lost. They are completely useless because they're not winning the lane. And that's what you want to do in a raw power battle. You want to cancel your opponent's points, because the more points you cancel, the less they have on the other lanes.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
All right.
Just one question. You said Cosmo will not cancel my Wolfbane. I'm not sure I understood that.
You play Super Scroll. So if they play Cosmo, your Super Scroll copy Cosmo.
Ah, so Super Scroll cancel, like a Cosmo canceling Cosmo?
No. Super Scroll copy Cosmo, and your Wolfsbane is a non-reveal. So they play Cosmo.
Okay.
You play Super Scroll. So your Super Scroll copies Cosmo ability.
Okay.
Which means there's a Cosmo on your Wolfsbane lane.
Yes.
Then your Wolfsbane does not activate.
Do you mean if they played a Cosmo in a different lane, not on the left, and then you're scrolling?
If they play a Cosmo anywhere.
Yeah.
They play Cosmo in this game somewhere. Of course, they would probably play it on the Wong lane, but it was just so we could see that example of sequencing our cards properly.
Okay, so I'm not sure I understand, but it's okay. I don't want to take too much time.
So let's say they play Cosmo in the middle or the right, okay?
Yeah.
Your Super Scroll copies Cosmo.
Yeah.
So if your Super Scroll reveals before Wolfsbane, your Wolfsbane reveals on a Cosmo lane.
Okay, I understood.
So she doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense now. Sorry.
That's it. Like, once again, it's just raw power battle. Make sure your points are real. Don't take risks for no reason.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Silvermint, ready to go?
Sure, yeah, I can go.
Well, you're the last one because unfortunately Toast had to leave.
Ah, okay. Well, so let me share my screen real quick.
I'll put the picture you sent.
Okay. So there's two cards I'm still playing with. Whatever's in the cable slot, and I've played around with a lot of different things there. And I'm feeling like Cosmo often is kind of a tell. Once they know that I'm playing a lot of tech cards, they know that they can build more safely in that lane. So the question would be what I would replace them with. Oh, but yeah,
okay, so let's start with the basic, which is why are you playing those cards? What's the reason?
Okay, right. So main reason I'm finding is one, and a lot of this actually revolves around Doc Ock. It's about trying to prevent a lockdown, but also getting them to accidentally reveal their important cards early so that I'm better able to target my tech cards. So really, this is about boosting my tech ability.
Okay, and so Cable does it the same way as Dr. Octopus, which is information?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a discount Daredevil. You can get often a pretty good guess of what deck they're playing, but also you remove the card from them, and it might be that was an important part of their combo.
Okay, then my question is, why are we not doing this with Spider-Ham?
I have played around a bit with Spider-Ham. I hit too many Infinite decks in a row, and I think I got gun shy.
Okay.
I think it was probably too small a data set to draw that conclusion.
I mean, I see Shang-Chi, which is pretty good against Infinite, but the thing is, if they play Infinite, your Doc Ock is a problem as well. So, I mean, so you're removing Spider-Ham to dodge Infinite, but then you're still taking the risk to pull it with Doc Ock?
Well, so maybe this was the problem with the Cosmo. Once it's there, if they place it in the Cosmo lane, not if I Doc Ock pull it. If they place it there, I can't touch it anyway. So maybe the real objection I had was Cosmo and not Spider-Ham.
Yeah, I mean, the logical list that would see would be Spider-Ham over Cable, and then probably Cosmo be Miles Morales or something like that. Because you do have the move package, but you don't have the kind of the reward for it. I'm guessing you don't have Iron Lad?
That was because I wasn't quite getting how the shuffle mechanic was affecting it. And I think I was playing so many countering so many Korgs or people doing Darkhawk shells that Iron Lad often hit Chavez. But
well, I mean, we're not talking about Chavez here. Like, you can run Iron Lad without Chavez.
Yeah. So let me add in Spider-Ham, and then we're thinking about dropping Cosmo either for Iron Lad or...
I guess I would try with Morales first.
Okay.
Because you have Polaris. But, I mean, it depends. Like, basically, now the deck can go 3 directions. Direction number 1 is remove a 3 cost for Iron Lad and Chavez and just go for when I have Zabu, I'm going to snap, basically. Go for 2 raw packages, which is Miles Morales, and now you have the Darkhawk package and the move package, and just be flexible in which one you're going to use for points. Or just throw another good card in there, which, I mean, I'm always talking about Iron Lad because I think it's one of the better cards in the game, but there's probably others. And that's about it. Like, that's the 3 options. Like, either support one of the 2 synergies you have in your deck, or just put a good card that doesn't care which synergies you have in your deck.
Yeah, I've played around with Miles in this because, Zabu and Polaris, but I found that I often wasn't playing him because I like holding Zabu back for surprise against lockdown.
Wait, you like Zabu back?
No. What I mean is, there were always things to play instead of Miles, so I just found myself not even using it, even when it was reduced to a 1 cost. So I might be leaning Iron Lad here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, you can try both. You can adapt. You can.
Yeah, I think by the time where I don't want to move Zabo too early because that makes me less effective against lockdown. I don't want to Polaris too early in case they're doing something
Okay,
like a
it's not
Hela
Zabu. You're
reveal.
talking about Jeff.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay, that's
sorry
where
for
the
that.
confusion came from. All right. Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Exactly. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't want to do Polaris too quickly because you want to let them build the stack behind Invisible, and so I found myself just not using Miles as much.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes no sense if I mean Zeba.
All right. Well, then it's just, I guess, if you're going for the Iron Lad route, just consider like if it's Polaris or Chavez. Polaris adds flexibility, Chavez adds reliability. Just depends on what you like most.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're saying if I do want to do something like an Iron Lad, it's probably drop Polaris for Chavez?
Usually, when you go for the full 4 cost, which is 5 of them, the deck is basically I want Zabu on turn 2 every game, and every time I'm gonna have Zabu, I'm gonna snap. And Chavez gives you percents that it happens more often. So that's what the deck is doing currently, which is basically like the basic list that we went over like already is remove Spider Ham, remove Doctor Octopus, and then you have 10 cards if you have Chavez instead of Polaris, but it doesn't matter. And then 2 cards for tech cards, which can be Killmonger, Spider Ham, I don't know, Luke Cage, Legion, whatever.
All right. If that's the logic, then I think I might go back to Miles, just because I found Polaris very useful as a tech card, moving armor, getting things unprotected. So that probably means Miles.
All right. Let's try it.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. I've got either a gold or some silver.
You're the boss.
Well, I want to try this against better opponents. I say let's use gold.
All right.
All right, well, pass on this.
Yep. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Blade discarding Lady Sif. What are we expecting?
I mean, I guess they're doing a Hela deck, which I found Doc Ock to be a good counter for. Yeah, that'd be my first guess.
I love Doc Ock against Hela sounds hella fun.
Yeah, this was based on struggling against Hela, so I wanted to figure out something that would work there.
Oh, that's not Hela.
Well,
if it's not Hela, you know what it is.
I'm not actually sure I've seen a Blade Collector combo.
Oh, well, it's just Discord. Basic Discord, because Swarm and Apocalypse.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so no real benefit to moving either of those yet. Killmonger won't do much. Maybe just Korg gets some points in.
Why would Killmonger not do much? He kills Blade.
Well, they might have.
No.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
fair.
The only other one cost they might have are Sunspot and Nebula, and if they don't play it by now, we don't care about them.
Gotcha. Do you think left or middle?
If you're gonna, I would go middle because you don't have a lot of ways to impact Big House.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. I could do either Polaris Korg to discount Spider-Man, or I could just get Darkhawk down. Let's see. I don't have Zabu, so that's not going to be effective. I feel like moving Collector off of the Nivelier and playing Korg, perhaps.
I would have gone Polaris left and Korg middle. Because you're going to drag Colleen, and so she's going to be a 9, and you have a nice little Shang-Chi in your hand.
Ah, yes. I see.
And so suddenly it's much easier to win Nidavellir, which means you can focus on other cards.
Okay. Well, so right now, getting Miles down, and my guess is Hawk. But I don't yet have a way to block what they're gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I like Morales middle, Hawk left. That opens Shang-Chi Jeff next turn, and you just win left and middle. That works.
Yeah. Let's see.
The other option was to Shang-Chi now, because you don't have priority, and you try to Giga Snipe MODOK left, because that's the only place they can play it, but not sure.
Yeah. I think I'm going to try this version.
And in theory, this card doesn't have any way of like countering Darkhawk or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's... Are they just trying to get raw points on...
I guess so, but people are so weird with their Wongs today, I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't get maybe the draw they wanted. Okay, well, so... Shang on the left. And then I think the question is Jeff middle or Jeff left. I mean, it's nice raw points on the left, but the middle seems soft to me. But they can't play a 4, 5, or 6 there, so
I don't think you can lose either lanes, to be honest. But the real
Unless
thing
they...
I want to do is snap, because there's a high chance they retreat. The thing is, if they retreat, they don't see Shang-Chi. And I don't want to show them Shang-Chi for 1 cube. I want them to either pay 4 cubes to see it, or I want them to not know about it.
Yeah.
And as for Big House, you have not seen any swarms being discarded or that kind of stuff, so I think you're pretty safe. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Shang-Chi wins you left, and I'm pretty sure you win middle already, but probably left, just in case. I have no idea why, but probably left.
Yeah, unless this is Hela, but I don't...
And Hela would bring back what?
Well, so here's the thing. If it's... Okay, no problem there. Nice. If it were Hela... No, there's a good reason to think it wouldn't be Hela, because then they wouldn't be trying to build on the right with their cards. They would just trust Hela to drop things there.
Yeah, and also they only discarded Lady Sif. Like, old game long. Oh, no, they discarded Nakia as well. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not sure, but Spider-Ham could be a good enough reason to snap this card on turn 1. I wouldn't do it because there's Camouflage, and that's really good for this card. But use Spider-Ham, Apocalypse, or MODOK, and their deck crumbles.
Let's see. I say we do it on the left, of course, but then should we wait to see what... Well, if we wait to see...
Why on the left? What are the chances that you hit 2 different cards? They only have 1 6. I'm not counting Chavez because it can't be in hand. They only have 1 5. Yeah. The only chance Spider-Ham is good is if they have double 4, and then it's a 50-50. I think just take the points.
Yeah. Should we snap now?
Honestly, like, Spider-Ham, to me, Spider-Ham against discard is an auto snap, but Camouflage is really good for discard. So...
I like it. I feel like we can push the
It was Wong? What? Okay, like I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, at least now when they play Wong in a really weird place, it won't mean as much.
Good
right.
call. Good call.
All right, so I don't have priority, so I maybe like the idea of Polaris left. I can move Colleen, maybe something else, and just start clogging that lane.
I like it. I was trying to count that I think Colleen ends up as an 8 on the last turn. And it's a 9 after 6, so you can't Shang-Chi her. If I could Shang-Chi her, I would have left her there.
You you mean playing in the middle?
No, I mean, if Colleen was gonna get enough bonuses from Weir Island to be targetable by Shang-Chi, I would have not Polaris. But I think on turn 6, she's gonna be an 8, and she'll only be a 9 once turn 6 resolves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't understand. Why are they not using Comertage? I really feel like we're facing bots today. I'm sorry for the people.
Yeah. Well, so Rock on the left seems great right now.
Yes.
Am I wrong about that?
If you could snap a second time, you probably would.
Yeah.
I mean, Darkhawk alone wins the game.
Yeah.
At this, well, the game, no, but he's gonna win a lane alone. Swarm?
And they're just playing. Okay.
Okay, it feels really, really weird.
Yeah. And they just snapped.
What?
Okay. So ordinarily, here's where I love playing Doc Ock against a discard. But why help them play cards at this point?
So first, check their hand. If you're gonna Doc Ock, check their hand. How many cards are in their hand?
Oh, right.
3.
3. Okay.
And they have priority.
Yeah.
Well, you know 3. One of them is a 2-power pig.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Darkhawk and Korg.
Probably Korg left, Darkhawk right, and just Darkhawk wins on his own.
I think that's right.
Oh, that can be a problem.
Okay.
Oh, that can be a big problem.
Yeah.
How big is our Darkhawk?
Let's see. So they are gonna have right now.
Oh, it's an 18
in their deck. Yeah.
We beat it. All right, we win the game then.
Okay. So then we can also Shang-Chi the Morbius if we feel like it.
Well, if you just Shang-Chi, you're still behind. He's at 12, you're at 9.
On the left, I see.
They have priority, and only one card is a problem. And you know your Darkhawk beats that card, so don't take any risk.
Okay.
There's 100% play.
All right. Well, if we just want points, then maybe now is a good time for Doc Ock either
no, you don't
left
have priority.
or...
You don't have priority, and you know their problem is a 16-power card.
Yeah.
So just Shang-Chi left.
Ah, I see. Oh,
the only way they win the game is if Apocalypse wins left or right. You know Darkhawk takes Apocalypse 1-on-1, so it can't be right. So the only option left is left, just Shang-Chi with no priority, and you win. Like the only way you lose is the Apocalypse left and take it back. Shang-Chi, that option is gone, 100%.
Yeah, for some reason I had difficulty anticipating that one.
That's all right.
Yeah, but I'm just looking if they were to just manually play Apocalypse somewhere, for example, on the left, then fine, I still win the right.
You still win the left,
I guess that's...
You did not have priority.
Yeah.
That's the big thing about that turn is if you had priority, it would be much more difficult because we couldn't interact with a 16 power card, and then maybe we would have gone like Shang-Chi Jeff Metal and hope we take it from them. But otherwise, because they only have Apocalypse, so their play, and for some reason they played Chavez, so it makes me even more a big believer of that was a bot. But let's keep that situation, okay? So 100% information is clear. They show it to you. Their play should be a 16 power card.
Yeah.
At the start of the turn, on the right, you're at 18. They're at 0. So that lane is gone. Like literally, you take the right and you scrap it from your spirit. It doesn't exist anymore.
That's right.
Now we have middle. We have Shang-Chi, which kills Morbius, which puts us at 11 against 14. So we could have Shang-Chi'd Jeff in the middle, because it actually puts us 1 up on them. And so if they don't play Apocalypse there, we also win it. And if they play it there, Shang-Chi kills them. Or we play it left. But basically, the 2 plays were Shang-Chi, Jeff, middle. But that play could have been punished, because if by any chance they decide to play 2 cards, we lose. Because in the middle, we're actually up by only 1 point. So if they play any card in the middle and play in the left, which we're only 3 points ahead, maybe there's like 1% that in a weird world, I don't know, they play their pig in the middle, which is enough for them to win. And with 2 mana, what do they have for 2 mana? They play Blade, it discards Wolverine, something like that, and we lose because of that. That's like, it doesn't exist, but maybe.
Yeah.
While on the other hand, because you win right, and you have a card that wins you left, play that. And you just lock left and right.
It's funny, it's so clear you explained it. I think the only thing I can think of is I saw that 16 Apocalypse, and I suddenly thought I was in a Raw competition. I'm like, okay, how do I beat this on points? But this deck is designed to be a counter-tech control deck with just Darkhawk Shell. I forgot that I was playing Relative. I was in the wrong mindset.
Go into your collection.
Yeah.
Like you'll see. It's very well explained in your collection.
Yep. Get out of here. I think I just got intimidated, honestly, and forgot that this was actually perfect for me, because that's why
that's literally what you want to do. That's the situation.
Yeah, I think I was just intimidated, honestly.
So you add the answer in front of you. So go into the deck you just played.
Yep.
Read the name of the deck.
Yep, exactly. Good cards, control. Yep.
It's right there.
Yep. Yeah, I can only explain it by intimidation, yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes our session to prep for the Infinity League. Congrats. Everyone won their match. That was really cool. Are there any final questions, any things that you guys want to go over quickly before we conclude?
I have one question for Silvermint.
Of course.
Sure.
So, have you ever played in the Gold League before?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was definitely a bot.
Yeah, and we had that with Not For Long also, and they also have played in the league. So it feels like we faced 2 bots tonight. And the weird thing is the first one had an infinity border. Was the Kingpin avatar? Something like that?
I've played that person before.
Yeah, me too, but I'm sorry, they played so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, tonight was really weird opponent-wise.
I think if I have any questions... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, hopefully it goes the same way in the Infinity Gauntlet, and you guys all crush it.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben. Hi, everyone. Sorry for interrupt. I want... if you let me do a little bit of, a point to Silvermint. It's okay if I give a little advice to Silvermint. I was watching the last game.
Of course. I mean, that's
Oh
what
yeah,
we hear.
please. Yeah, I love it.
The deck is like, if you feel comfortable playing that kind of deck, the deck is extremely close to good card stature. That is a tier 1 deck right now. So I don't say that like just change your deck and play an established deck from the tier list, But if you feel comfortable playing that kind of shells, like the Darkhawk shell and the Polaris with the Miles Morales, etc., maybe like start exploring good card stature. A good option for you. That was just like my advice.
Well, we actually ended up on pretty much good card stature. It's just stature and Black Bolt were removed for Spider-Ham and Octopus, which gives the deck the control aspect compared to the stature Black Bolt.
Yeah, I think this reminds me of something Den told us about on the first lesson. I think that when you are, people are loss averse and risk adverse, so they remember how they got beaten and they overcompensate for that. The changes I made from good card stature are because there were particular decks I was trying to counter, but that's a good advice because good card stature is tier 1 for a reason. It wins, the right kinds of matchups often enough. So there are reasons why those cards were there. So it's actually important for me to go back, check the data, and make sure that the changes I'm making aren't overcompensating for a narrow range of cases. That's a really good reminder.
You could also make a case where everyone knows what good card stature is, and not everyone is going to expect Dr. Octopus to come down on 5 from this deck. But that needs to translate into cubes. That means, if you're playing it to actually surprise people, you got to be willing to snap and make those cards bring you cubes before the opponent knows about it. If you're playing a surprise card for 1 cube, play the real deck. Play the proven good deck that's going to reliably bring you a little bit of cubes every single game. If you want to go big, you also need to have the mindset to go big at the right time. You need to have a play style that matches your choices. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
That is probably the most important lesson I can learn. Thank you for that.
Okay. Are there anything that we have to say, or shall we all go to bed, us weak European people?
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
no problem. Thanks everyone for joining. White Toast, sorry that you couldn't get onto the action. I think you had a bug or you had to leave during the gameplay part.
I'm technically at work, so I had a meeting, but I appreciate it. I'll come next time.
No problem. If you want to send us a deck, use the channel if you have questions about the Conquest League, or send the deck that you plan on using. Feel free to do it.
You had one the anti deck that you posted a while back that I loved. That's me. I love anti meta things. That's always been my deal. So it's hard for me to jump on the wagon. I gotta be anti. But yeah, love all that stuff. I'll come up with something. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, on this note, have a great rest of your day, everyone. See you next week. It'll probably be a little bit because we did the session on Monday. For next week, it'll probably be the same. Either have it early in the week, explore the metagame after the OTA, depending on how impactful they are, or the new season starts on the 8th. Is that right? Or am I mistaken? Can someone confirm this? Are we 1 week exactly from the start of the season?
Should be if Infinite Conquest is opening tomorrow.
Okay. So something we could do is we could meet on Wednesday, Thursday, or even Tuesday if it's the new season, and we could touch on how to grind the ladder to the Infinity rank. That could also be a topic to do. How do people that get Infinity in a few days or the first day actually do it? And that would be very mindset focused. And how do we play correctly and well for 7 or 8 hours in a row by being very focused on the simple things and doing them over and over again. So that's different ideas that we can explore. If you guys have topics that you want, as usual, feel free to suggest them. On this note, this session is closed. Thanks everyone for joining, and see you next week.
Thank you.
See
Thank you.
guys.
Bye everyone.
Very interesting.
Bye, guys.